right, Charlie. We just wrapped up preseason with the Carolina Panthers, which seems like we're always either there or they're in Pittsburgh to wrap up the preseason. And they came away with the victory, preseason 3, but there were a lot of battles still left to be had. And I think the main one I think a lot of folks were looking at was that wide receiver battle. Did we get any separation in that room? Is there a clear cut top 5 or top 6 guys that I think are going to go make the 53 this year?
Well, I think we have the top 3 for sure, and I think the way that Roman Wilson performed in this preseason game really was a step for him moving forward because they wanted to see him take the next step. I thought he did that watching it with the eyes view on it, so it was cool to see that. So I think you see with DK, Roman Wilson, Calvin Austin, you're gonna have 3 there. The other person who I thought solidified their roster spot was Scotty Miller, so that
Hmm.
now takes you at 4. Ben Skoranek, he's gonna be more of a special teams guy in this rotation. He does play a little bit off of it, but I think those are your 5 at this particular point. Robert Woods, what does that look like for him? But I think a lot of it is a lot of decisions are going to come on how many people they keep at the tight end position. If they go at
Hmm.
4, then you're going to see 5 in the wide receiver group. If they go, with 4 tight ends, then maybe maybe well, no, not 4, but if they
3.
go with 3 tight ends, you're going to
Hmm.
see six receivers. If they go with 4, you're going to see 5 receivers. So I think that's ultimately how it's going to play out there.
So basically, you're saying if we keep Connor, then there's going to be a 6 wide receiver spot that we're not going to keep.
Well, I think
Basically,
it's more of the wild card because Connor actually could be slotted at the fullback position too, so he can be a hybrid between
okay.
fullback and tight end. So I think he does have that position flexibility there.
Do you think that the offense that Coach Smith, Omar, Tomlin, they're happy with the wide receiver crew that are not, I guess, scouring the waiver wire for a freshly released wide receiver coming up?
Yeah, again, a lot of it depends on who is released at the time.
Hmm.
Do I feel that they are happy with the number 2 route receiver position right now? I think they're okay with it. But if there's another guy that can actually better this roster, of course they're going to entertain that conversation and then see where things take you at this particular point. So all I say is if you do make the initial 53, the people are going to pay attention to what's happening around the league. And if this roster can get better, we've seen Omar, we've seen Omar Khan, and we've seen Mike Tomlin actually make moves that surprise people to get this roster better.
Right. And I think wide receiver group was one of those ones that a lot of guys had their eyes on. And I think this group's opened up a lot of eyes. I think they surprised a lot of folks. I think they performed really well. I don't remember anybody having any egregious drop problems or missed assignments. It seems like by and large that this group worked really hard. And despite the name recognition, I think we have who we think we need in order to fill that wide receiver 2 position between Roman and Calvin and Scotty. Either one of those 3, I think, could fill in that wide receiver 2 role.
And I think the one person who we haven't seen much, but who had a phenomenal training camp was John Smith. This guy can
Oh
flat
yeah.
out ball. So now you have the options of using him as a receiver, along with that tight end set as well, because he's that flexible as it relates to what he's capable of doing. And the thing is, people haven't seen him this preseason, but man, he's someone to get excited about.
Oh yeah, I think they got a taste of it early on, but he's been kind of hampered with injuries. Thank God for these 17 days post preseason. These guys are going to get healthy. But on the other side of the ball, position group tasked with guarding these wide receivers, there was some talk about whether Beanie Bishop, one of the guys who broke out from the 2024 class, an undrafted free agent, and played a big role for this defense. Talks about him maybe being on a bubble with the play of Brandon Eccles really catching the eye of the coaches. Did he do enough in this last preseason game to make the 53?
I think he did, but again, a lot of it comes down to if you do potentially release Benny Bishop, um, will you look and say, can you get him on a practice squad?
Right.
Or will he entertain his services elsewhere? Those are the things you just don't know at this particular point. And all I can go back off of prior to the game, defensive coordinator Terrell Austin said this is a big game for Beanie Bishop.
Hmm.
And we're
Yes.
expecting him to play, and then he didn't play. So we don't know what else was going on. All I know is Mike Tomlin said he was dealing with something. So we don't know what that something is. But all of that to say, when you now open up that door for somebody else to get those reps, that's where that guy could potentially shine. And I thought Brandon Eccles really did that to really make a case for why he belongs on his 53.
Right. And, Coach Tomlin puts a microscope on year two guys because he wants to see improvement. Because generally speaking, once you get that experience in the NFL after your rookie year, you're expected by the coaching staff to have a significant jump in your play in the second year. And I read a comment from Coach Tomlin that said that he saw that in Beanie Bishop. So it might not be a case where there was a drop in his play, but it seems like Brandon Eccles really just stood out and really picked up and really showed out that he is capable of playing that position at a high level.
And I think the one again, there's another gray area there because we don't know what position that Jalen Ramsey is going to line up in. If
Mhm.
you look in that last preseason game, he lined up at safety.
Right.
So if you're now putting him at safety and that frees up another corner position because of what he's capable of doing, doesn't mean they're going to keep him at the safety position. It's just the fact that that's a spot that they're going to take because typically you would keep four safeties, but again, because we know Miles Killebrew is going to make this squad. He, like Mike Tomlin talked about, he's the best in the world at what
Mhm.
he does. So his roster spot is secure. But again, it's just a matter of where they fit and what position that they're going to put Jalen Ramsey at. And now, what does that look like for everybody else?